I'm Sharon Snyder, and I have been a member here for almost 10 years. Welcome to this morning, this day, and this opportunity to be together in community, which is a time of joy, comfort, and sometimes challenges. This Unitarian Universalist congregation is a place where we come to learn more about being human. We're not here because we've figured out life's questions or because we think we've got it right. We come here to learn more about being in relationship together, how to listen, how to forgive, how to be vulnerable, and how to create trust and compassion with one another so that we can create trust and compassion in the world. If you are a visitor, either on-site or online, we're glad you are here with us. And we invite you to stay after the service to get acquainted. We welcome your questions and look forward to getting to know you. I call your attention to the announcements in your order of service and weekly email. There you'll find more information about the following. The Green Team is collecting donations of clothing and other goods to be repurposed. A rally in support of gun safety legislation will be held this Tuesday on the state capitol steps, and our May 7th new member ceremony. For next Sunday's worship service, join Ellen Saul for Turning Points, Resistance, and Boundaries. And finally, after the Sunday service today, join Will Wiedenhoff for a short 15-minute Jiu-Jitsu mini workshop designed for every body. We'll meet downstairs after the service. Again, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Northfield.
Good morning. I am the Reverend Sara Smalley. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the minister of this fellowship. It is a joy to be together this morning. Our opening words are just ever so slightly longer than they are some weeks, but every word is perfection, and I wanted you to feel the truth of them now instead of later in the service. Our theme for worship today is reverence, that sense of awe that feels at once intensely personal and also transcendent, that feeling that pulls us out of ourselves into deeper connection with the universe and others. This is an excerpt from Primal Reverence by UU minister, the Reverend Kendall Gibbons. The situations are so familiar that they are pretty much cliches. You stand at the shore with the waves beating out their rhythmic crash and the water rushing almost to your feet, seeing nothing but a thin line of horizon where sea and sky meet. The distances suggest infinity, the ocean's unfathomable depth and power, its ceaseless primordial force and mystery. The air, too, moves in a huge current, and the soaring gulls catch light on the back of their wings. Something within us unlatches and expands in that immensity, catching some hint of our finitude, the oneness of all life emerging from the sea's embrace eons ago, the sovereign beauty and freedom of so much overwhelming space and light and sound. Perhaps for you, it is the stars at night, somewhere beyond the reach of our puny interviewing city lights, the whole sky filled with uncountable rays originating from trillions of light years away, planets and galaxies beyond imagining, made of the same stuff we are made of, and you stand amazed at the shower of brilliance. Or perhaps your taste runs to the deep forest or the towering redwoods or the stunning ribbons of color in the Grand Canyon or the suspense and drama of a thunderstorm or the reflection of sunset on a hidden lake or even the first unfolding green of the garden coming back to life after winter's severity. Somewhere, this planet has a showstopper for you that takes your breath away and makes you tug on other people's sleeves to make them see what you see. The whirling autumn leaves with their wedding song of death and beauty, the heartbreaking call of the loon or the wolf or the whale, the nuzzling of newborn creatures after the labor of birth or the struggle of the monarch out of the chrysalis into unfamiliar wings. For me, it is waterfalls. I could stand all day dumbstruck by the vision of such endless abundance, the living energy of creation poured out unceasingly before my eyes, seeming to promise a truth that something in the world, and therefore something in me, is never and can never be exhausted. It makes me want to weep, want to dance, want to fall on my knees and be one with it, whatever that is in everlasting praise. Let me promise you, as clearly as I am capable of knowing what I know, none of that has anything to do with Jesus or Buddha. The primal experience of reverence in and for the natural world precedes theology of any kind. It is an organic human experience that requires no supernatural explanation. Perhaps the most essential tenet of liberal religion across all mythologies and ritual vocabularies is that each one of us is responsible for what we do with and about and because of that experience of reverence. It is not society's job. It is not our parents' job. It is not even ultimately the church's job or any minister's job, but yours alone to decide how you will respond to that breathtaking beauty. Whatever it is for you that is a showstopper on this planet, hold it close now. Come, let us worship together our response to the breathtaking beauty of this moment.
The flaming chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. Each Sunday, when we gather, we bring this symbol to life together. Please join me in speaking the words for the lighting of the chalice. Let us open our eyes to see what is beautiful. Let us open our minds to learn what is true. Let us open our hearts to love one another. Please rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, number 203, All Creatures of the Earth and Sky. Sometimes we resist becoming who we long to be, preferring what's familiar over having to let go to become more expansive and more free. This is the tale of the journeying stream, a Sufi parable. A stream, from its course in far-off mountains, passing through every kind and description of countryside, at last reached the sands of the desert. Just as it had crossed every other barrier, the stream tried to cross this one, but found that as fast as it ran into the sand, its waters disappeared. It was convinced, however, that its destiny was to cross this desert, and yet there was no way. Now, a hidden voice coming from the desert itself whispered, "The wind crosses the desert, and so can the stream." The stream objected that it was dashing itself against the sand and only getting absorbed, that the wind could fly, and this was why it could cross a desert. By hurtling in your own accustomed way, you cannot get across. You will either disappear or become a marsh. You must allow the wind to carry you to your destination. But how could this happen? Asked the stream. By allowing yourself to be absorbed by the wind. This idea was not acceptable to the stream. After all, it had never been absorbed before. It did not want to lose its individuality. And once having lost it, how was one to know that it could ever be regained? The wind, said the sand, performs this function. It takes up water, carries it over the desert, and then lets it fall again. Falling as rain, the water again becomes a river. Well, how can I know that this is true? It is so. And if you do not believe it, you cannot become more than a quagmire. And even that could take many, many years. And it certainly is not the same as a stream. But can I not remain the same stream that I am today? You cannot in either case remain so, the whisper said. Your essential part is carried away and forms a stream again. You are called what you are even today because you do not know which part of you is the essential one. Well, when it heard this, certain echoes began to arise in the thoughts of the stream. Dimly, it remembered a state in which, or some part of it, had been held in the arms of a wind. It also remembered, or did it, that this was the real thing, not necessarily the obvious thing to do. And the stream raised its vapor into the welcoming arms of the wind, which gently and easily bore it upwards and along, letting it fall softly as soon as they reached the roof of a mountain many, many miles away. And because it had its doubts, the stream was able to remember and record more strongly in its mind the details of the experience. It reflected, yes, now I have learned my true identity. We will now take our offering. Our offering is one way we make our care for the world tangible. Our Share the Plate donations this month go to Citizens Climate Lobby, a nonprofit, nonpartisan, grassroots advocacy climate change organization focused on national policies to address climate change. In this month of Earth Day, let us give joyfully and generously as we are able. You may donate by cash, check made out to UUFN with offering basket in the memo line, or online from our website. You can scroll down to the bottom of the homepage for the link. We now gratefully accept the offering.
I invite you now to allow yourself to relax into an unhurried breath. Relax your shoulders, soften your gaze and your heart, and find ease in this moment. Rest in the embrace of a wider love. In the presence of this greater love, we use our chalice flame to light our candles of community. We light our first candle as a blessing for the wider world. Yesterday was Earth Day, and we take this moment to name our profound gratitude for being alive on this miraculous planet, and for our grief for the loss of ecosystems, habitats, species, and ways of life in the midst of climate change. May the beauty of the earth itself both comfort us and inspire our resolve. We know too that the details of our daily lives are sacred and important. We now light a candle for all of the simple joys that are sustaining us. And we light another candle in honor of the sorrows and hardships we may be carrying, have not been spoken out loud. And we move into a time of shared silence. May the truth of your heart be reflected in these flames. Adrift by Mark Nepo. Everything is beautiful, and I am so sad. This is how the heart makes a duet of wonder and grief. The light spraying through the lace of the fern is as delicate as the fibers of memory forming their web around the knot in my throat. The breeze makes the birds move from branch to branch as this ache makes me look for those I've lost in the next room, in the next song, in the laugh of the stranger. In the very center, under it all, what we have that no one can take away and all that we have lost face each other. It is here that I'm adrift, feeling punctured by a holiness that exists inside everything. I am so sad, and everything is so beautiful. Spirit of life, love which holds us, we gather in reverence and thanks. We are grateful for the gift of another breath and for each moment of connection, beauty, and truth. Cry with us in our pain for our world. Remind us that we are loved just as we are. Remind us that we are connected with all that is. Remind us that we do not journey alone. Give us what we need for today. Call us back to our promises, commitments, and values. Help us love each other and ourselves. Help us, show us that love in our actions. Make us instruments of justice, equity, and compassion. We declare that life and love are stronger than fear, that a world of beauty and love is coming, and we must shape it together. May it be so, and amen.
What is the most astounding fact you can share with us about the universe?
The most astounding fact
The most astounding fact.
is the knowledge that the atoms that comprise life on Earth, the atoms that make up the human body, are traceable to the crucibles that cooked light elements into heavy elements in their core under extreme temperatures and pressures. These stars, the high mass ones among them, went unstable in their later years. They collapsed and then exploded, scattering their enriched guts across the galaxy. Guts made of carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and all the fundamental ingredients of life itself. These ingredients become part of gas clouds that condense, collapse, form the next generation of solar systems, stars with orbiting planets. And those planets now have the ingredients for life itself. So that when I look up at the night sky, and I know that, yes, we are part of this universe, we are in this universe, but perhaps more important than both of those facts is that the universe is in us. When I reflect on that fact, I look up. Many people feel small because they're small and the universe is big, but I feel big because my atoms came from those stars. There's a level of connectivity. That's really what you want in life. You want to feel connected. You want to feel relevant. You want to feel like you're a participant in the goings-on of activities and events around you. That's precisely what we are, just by being alive.
Thank you, choir. My favorite line of any of the Star Wars movies, whether the original trilogy or any of the franchises, from The Empire Strikes Back to The Clone Wars to The Rise of Skywalker and beyond, is this. Imagine a scrappy band of rebels is fighting an intergalactic battle against a ruthless empire. This time it's episode 8, The Last Jedi, where the rebels are fighting the First Order, a fascist military regime. Rose Tico, a young fighter in the resistance, has just saved fellow resistor Finn from certain death as he's attempted to attack a massive First Order weapon alone. Finn frantically runs past burning ruins on a rocky planet, laser blasts echoing around him, and rushes to free Rose from the wreckage of her spaceship. As Finn starts to pull an injured Rose from the cockpit of her crashed ship, she looks him in the eyes as the music swells and says, "That's how we're going to win. Not fighting what we hate, saving what we love." Rose drifts off into unconsciousness in Finn's arms, the truth of her prophecy echoing into an uncertain future. Reverence must be the heart of the resistance. More words from Kendall Gibbons, who offered our opening words earlier. In addition to finding it in nature, the primal experience of reverence also comes in the stories of human lives that move us with their courage, with their dedication to justice and beauty, with their embrace of sacrifice for something larger. It is in the story of Harriet Tubman leading her fellow slaves to freedom. It is in the endurance of Aung San Suu Kyi, living for decades under house arrest and threat of worse in order to offer a democratic alternative in Myanmar. It is in the stunning mercy of Nelson Mandela, leading South Africa's reconciliation after generations of apartheid and oppression. One of these stories, or one of thousands like it, brings a lump to your throat. Somewhere there is a hero, living or dead, close or distant, historical or mythologized, a hero of conscience or mercy, of generosity or duty, whose story whispers to your secret heart, "This is the life you were made for. This is the kind of person you ought to be." That whisper, too, is reverence. That lump in your throat is the counterpoint of the gasp elicited by nature's breathtaking beauty and power. Neither one has anything to do with an old man sitting on a cloud with a long beard keeping score. For heaven's sake, let go of that picture. Even if you are a believer in God, that limited portrait does your belief no justice. In the name of all that is holy, set that image aside and start over with the reverence that is real for you. Perhaps in time it may lead you back to the story of Jesus and the Christian God, and you will, as T.S. Eliot put it, arrive where you started and know it and know the place for the first time. But if not, if that place turns out not to be the home of your soul, then welcome, welcome, says Gibbons, to this larger, longer, more pathless journey that we Unitarian Universalists, we humanists, we religious liberals share. I promise you will not be alone. What is the reverence that is real for you? Reverence is a response to this world that is at once personal and transcendent. It's wonder and awe plus deep respect. We are punctured by a holiness that exists inside everything. We are marching in the light of love. We are marching for the rights of all day, every day. What if we were aware of that and acted like it with every step, every movement? The most astounding fact, according to astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, is that we are in the universe and the universe is in us. We look up at a starry sky or a waterfall or notice a single bud on the edge of a branch of a tree, and we feel something deep and vast and true. Our stardust souls recognize themselves in that shimmering infinitude, that flowing abundance, that reminder of growth. We hear birdsong and are reminded we too can sing to greet the morning, or a cat curls up on our lap, and we remember that we too can relax into the truth that we are capable of being loved and of being loving. Marilyn Robinson tells this story in her book, Gilead. We were very pious children from very pious households in a fairly pious town, and this affected our behavior considerably. Once, we baptized a litter of cats. They were dusty little barn cats, just steady on their legs, the kind of waifish creatures that live their anonymous lives, keeping the mice down and have no interest in humans at all except to avoid them. But all animals seem to start out sociable, so we were always pleased to find new kittens prowling out of whatever cranny their mother had tried to hide them as ready to play as we were. I myself moistened their brows, repeating the full Trinitarian formula. I still remember how those warm little brows felt under the palm of my hand. Everyone has petted a cat, but to touch one like that with the pure intention of blessing it is a very different thing. It stays in the mind. For years, we would wonder what, from a cosmic viewpoint, we had done to them. It still seems to me to be a real question. There is a reality in blessing. It doesn't enhance sacredness, but it acknowledges it, and there is power in that. I have felt it pass through me, so to speak. The sensation is of really knowing a creature. I mean, really feeling its mysterious life and your own mysterious life at the same time. There is an entire theology and worldview inspired by this sort of reverence. It is called religious naturalism. Religious naturalism is a perspective that finds religious meaning in the natural world. Here is a short definition of a much more complex belief structure from the Religious Naturalist Association website. Religious naturalists believe that all exists and all that exists and all that occurs is in accordance with natural processes. They value the scientific method as a way of considering what is real, but also recognize emotional and intuitive ways of understanding the value of art, rituals, and symbols. Naturalist views grounded in science provide a framework for understanding what seems real. The religious orientation includes spiritual responses, which can include feelings of appreciation, gratitude, humility, reverence, and joy at the wonder of being alive. This also includes moral responses involving values rooted in nature to seek justice and cooperation among social groups and balance in ecosystems. In other words, naturalism takes nature to head. Religious naturalism takes nature to head and to heart. The influence of religious naturalism is found in the first source of Unitarian Universalism, which reads, Direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. Direct experience of transcending mystery and wonder is a primary source of religious inspiration for Unitarian Universalists. For religious naturalists, and I count myself among them, the universe itself is a sacred text. It is novel, dramatic, and poetic. Its language is as lyrical as the Psalms, as thought-provoking as Jesus's parables, as vivid as human experience. Like its human-made counterparts, such as the Bible, the Quran, or the Bhagavad Gita, the cosmos tells a story that can teach us about the nature of divinity and the role of humanity. This universal story is written in a language human beings cannot fully understand, and so we translate. Mathematics translates the text of the universe into numbers and equations, religion into myth and parable, literature into novels and poetry, music, art, science, history. These are all ways we translate the text of the universe into human terms we can understand. This is religious naturalism, all of the above. The revelation of the cosmos cannot be contained within the pages of the Bible, and the full story of the miracle of creation also cannot be told by physics alone. There should be no conflict between religion and science because they are both a part of the same universe. And so a religious naturalist creation story might sound something like this. 15 billion years ago, the universe ignited into existence when an unimaginably dense seed of energy exploded and expanded. Out of this unfolding chaos, creation began. Atoms that had been flung into the far reaches of this newly created space began uniting, creating galaxies, stars, and planets. 5 billion years ago, the great cloud of elements in our own galaxy united to form our own star, the sun. 4 billion years ago, the first living cells on Earth appeared. 4 million years ago, human-like beings began walking on 2 legs, another miracle in a long line of creation. 35,000 years ago, humans first responded to the mystery of the night sky with art and music and rituals. 89 years ago, my mother was born in Athens, Wisconsin, the heir to 15 billion years of creation. Today, I speak these words to you. And more. 15 billion years ago, the possibility of you was already present. The possibility of waterfalls and spring buds on trees. And the possibility of George Floyd and Derek Chauvin were present. And lawmakers who want to control the sacred bodies of pregnant people. And lawmakers who want to legislate bathroom usage and drag shows, but not gun control. Present 15 billion years ago was also the possibility of a just world that has yet to be brought into being. The sacred text of the universe is being written even now, an evolving story, not a hardbound holy book. Religious naturalism is a different way to move through and make sense of the world. In a culture that says the earth is a commodity to be exploited, religious naturalism reminds us that everything is connected. In a world where fear and shame shut us down, the core religious naturalist spiritual practices of wonder and awe open us to new possibilities. Whether you resonate with the theology of religious naturalism or not, and it's okay if you don't, of course, this spiritual stance of reverence can inspire and transform our lives, our relationships, our community, and our justice work. Like feeling our capacity for abundance in a waterfall, seeing no stranger begins in wonder, says Valerie Carr. Seeing no stranger begins in wonder. It is to look upon the face of anyone and choose to say, "You are a part of me I do not know yet." Wonder is the wellspring for love. Who we wonder about determines whose stories we hear and whose joy and pain we share. Those we grieve with, those we sit with and weep with, are ultimately those we organize with and advocate for. Or maybe those we practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with are those we decide we can trust enough to be a bit awkward around. As mentioned earlier, after the service today, Will be offering a mini workshop downstairs. Will is the founder of Misfit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a trans and queer-centered gym in Northfield. You might be feeling some resistance to doing jiu-jitsu at church. And to be clear, there is no pressure to attend this workshop. You get to say no to things that are not for you, full stop. For those who are interested, this is a chance to experiment with the spiritual practice of resistance, not just noticing and then accepting your own resistance about doing something that might feel awkward, but an embodiment of how resistance is complex. Will assures me that if you can move your arm in a small circle, you can participate, either sitting or standing. Jiu-jitsu is a sport that physically plays with resistance and acquiescence. I know where my boundaries are when I push against another, and I know where theirs are when they push against mine. Which one feels more challenging? How do we learn to use resistance instead of fighting it? More, Misfit Gym resists cultural messaging about body image and what bodies should be. How does reverence for our own body and for all bodies allow us to be carried past perceived limitations into our truest selves? Back to that Star Wars quote. That's how we're going to win, not fighting what we hate, saving what we love. If Star Wars has taught me anything, it's that this loving resistance is not passive. Those rebels are fighting for liberation from tyranny and oppression, and their most powerful motivator and most powerful resource is each other. Progressive pastor and author of If God is Love, Don't Be a Jerk, John Pavlovich, has this to say, very slightly edited, about what love actually looks like. These are John Pavlovich's words. Yes, Rose Tico, you're right. We do save what we love. That is the primary mission. But sometimes that also means we may have to fight what we hate. Because I love the LGBTQ plus community, I openly call out politicians and clergy who deny their inherent worth. Because I love people of color, I speak into broken systems that deny them full participation and push back against a privilege that believes its whiteness superior. Because I love my Muslim brothers and sisters and siblings, I openly condemn the politics of fear that conflates their faith with terrorism. Because I love the vulnerable, I rail against those who would prey upon them, people who leverage their power and position to further marginalize them by hoarding opportunity and education and care and votes. This is the very nature of love. that it is a direct, unflinching response to that which is unloving. Love is the furious eruption of the heart in the face of all that feels wrong and broken and deadly. Love is still the greatest weapon good people have. Love doesn't just love, it also pushes back hard against unloving things. Pavlovitz concludes, Plan A is love. There is no plan B. Love is a direct, unflinching response to that which is unloving. Love doesn't just love, it also pushes back hard against unloving things. There is a reality in blessing. It doesn't enhance sacredness, but it acknowledges it, and there is a power in that. The sensation is of really knowing another. I mean, really feeling another's mysterious life and your own mysterious life at the same time. The relevance of reverence is how we practice it in our everyday lives. Reverence for our own sacred bodies, reverence for this earth, reverence for our relationships, and reverence for a world just beginning to bloom. May we go forth today and bless the world. Please rise in body or spirit for our hymn of affirmation, Wake Now My Senses. You may be seated for our benediction. May you hold this truth close to your heart, that you are in the universe and the universe is in you, that there is an extravagance of beauty surrounding you and an extravagance of beauty within you. May we resist that which is not love. May we know our birthright, which is belonging, and may we nurture small buds of possibility so the world may bloom with justice. May it be so. Amen. We join together in the words for our extinguishing of the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please rise in body or spirit, and with your hands over your heart or holding the hands of one next to you, we sing words of blessing one to another. Go in peace.